how can we make sure there's a roof over someone's head? How can we make sure that they have means to be able to provide for their family, which is jobs, and then being able to make sure that they can eat.
BusinessJournalDaily.com 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
The following is an excerpt from the Brain Gain Youngstown Leadership Series. The new podcast features conversations with local leaders who are focused on building a culture of entrepreneurship and promoting workforce development.
Father was actually a bishop, and so a nonprofit. And so I learned a lot about 501c3s and nonprofit, being able to support local communities and community activism, and not from a standpoint from a political, whether you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, but it's more so, or conservative, it's more so from a perspective of how do we provide resources, jobs within the local community? How do we make sure that there's great resources that's available for the elderly? The Hope Center for Cancer Care has been within the community since 2007. Physician-owned, local practice, locally owned, independent physicians. We're able to serve in oncology and hematology patients within the area. And so these shareholders wanted me to come in and be able to just help them go through some growing pains, which a lot of businesses go through. Once you know yourself, you can know how you're going to interact with other individuals. And so for me, I know that I'm naturally a people watcher, but it starts from the simplest conversations. And then from there, you can kind of engage and see how to develop that relationship with those individuals. And so I would say the cornerstone is knowing who you are initially, so that you know how you can interact with individuals within the local community.
You mentioned, you were actively involved in sports and have a love for basketball. Was there a favorite, when you were looking up to people as you were growing up, were there sports figures you looked up to, or business leaders, or who were your leaders that you looked up to when you were younger?
So I wouldn't say necessarily just looked up. I always call it a gumbo. I try to mirror some of the things that they all did to see how I can incorporate that from my perspective. And from a business standpoint, same thing. It started locally with my father and my mother. Owning, small businesses, and then also the church. And then from there, I would just say, like Martin Luther King, he actually owned quite a few businesses, and just really understanding how to serve your community. And I talk a lot about community because any product that you have, whether it's a smartphone, iPhone, or something, it's a product, right? How does this product or service support the community? And so, and then from there, I would say it's a lot of different business leaders that I've learned something from, whether it's the CEOs that's over Fortune 500 companies to your small donut shop owner.
What leadership style do you use to kind of drive engagement?
Yeah, I think and to be honest with you, when it's all said and done, it boils into one simple phrase, and I call it servant leadership. The reason I say servant leadership is that I always say, I put myself in someone else's shoes, and I think that's always important. And so, and if you take that approach, you typically can benefit anyone, regardless of where you're going. You want to understand their dynamics, their pain points, the challenges, but then help them be engaged of how do we move together and move forward. And so when you look at it from a servant perspective, it doesn't mean that there's not accountability and responsibility. It heightens that relationships. But when I think of servant leadership, I really think of being able to really engage the team so that we can move in the right direction. In the Hope Center for Cancer Care, we could do a summer mentor program where they can come and spend time at our facilities. And be able to learn about hematology, oncology. And from there, it opens up a lot of different positions. So one, you got the business side, that's me, executive director, but then you have the physicians, you have nurse practitioners, you have nurses, we have medical assistants, so we have clinician side and the admin side. And this is not a promoting of the Hope Center for Cancer Care, but if not only for the Hope Center, but if there's other community organizations that in that same summer, or I shouldn't say summer, period of time, that we get mentors to come in and be able to spend time at those locations, give them the visibility that they need. This helps plant the seed to help them start to be successful and for their futures. And so I'm definitely supportive of a program like that if other organizations are willing to participate also.
The interview you just watched is an excerpt from the Brain Gain Youngstown Leadership Series. The new podcast features conversations with local leaders who are focused on building a culture of entrepreneurship and promoting workforce development. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for notifications. And also make sure to connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. For all of your business news, visit businessjournaldaily.com. For all of your arts and entertainment news, go to afterhoursyoungstown.com.
BusinessJournalDaily.com 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
I like a bank that's a pillar in my community.
I like a bank so cutting edge, they have a lab branch.
We are so alike.
Well, we do both bank at Farmers National Bank.
Farmers.
Stand strong.